think we're up. This is all going to be very much experimental here today, this afternoon. Very much experimental for 2 or 3. I'm upstairs. I'm not 100% confident that the Wi-Fi is going to reach this far. Very much experimental for 2 or 3. I'm upstairs. I'm not 100% confident that the Wi-Fi is going to reach this far. All right, what we're going to try here, I'll explain the first bit and then you guys can explain whoever else comes along here. I'm up on the 3rd floor. I don't have a cameraman to help me, so it's going to be start and stop and start and stop. I'm up in the kitchen on the 3rd floor. See you, Kawai-san. Good night. Okay, thank you. Yep, bye-bye. Okay, good night, Kawai-san. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Okay. Let's zoom out a bit here. Sorry. This is very much going to be stop and go and herky-jerky. I'm up on the 3rd floor where we've converted an old kitchen into a bit of a place where we do cooking and stuff. And over on the table there, I'll move the camera in a few minutes. I'll be doing sizing of paper tonight. But the first step in that is getting the actual sizing mixed together. And it's been soaking for a few hours. We've got glue has been soaking here. And we've got alum soaking, and we're just at the very last stage. I'm just going to mix them together now. There's not really anything to see. I'm going to mix them together, dump them into our hot tub, hot thing that you'll see in a minute, and then begin sizing. So this first step here, I can show you the stuff, I guess. Let me get some samples of the goodies here. Wires and cables everywhere. What we've got here is glue. Mikado glue. We used to get it in this form. It's actually what they call Japanese sticks of glue, each one 10 grams. It became a few years ago that we couldn't get this anymore, so we had to switch to using a granular type. And this is actual animal glue. It's like after they've taken care of cows, these are rendered down cow bones or whatever. And mixed in with that, we put alum, and it comes to me in a powder in little tiny crystals like this. And where's my mic? The glue has been soaking all afternoon. I'm just heating it up now. It's just a loose. The alum is going to get in now. And this isn't the place for, a tutorial on exactly what I'm doing, how many grams, whatever. It's just a glimpse of how this is working. So I'm not going to try and, teach you what I'm doing here. Mixing in the alum mixture. As I said, the glue has been soaking and soaking and soaking all afternoon. So the mix is now ready. I'll get the pot open. I've got a strainer somewhere here. So let me move the camera around. Okay, here's where the action is going to happen tonight. What you see here, I can pan this a bit. what we've got here, it's one of those things they put in hotels where you go to a smorgasbord. In the top section there, they keep soup warm, and the bottom is electronic. There's a switch that tells you, there's water inside the thing itself, and this is a double boiler type of thing. So it's been warming up, and what I'm going to do now is take the glue mix that I just been warming up over there, dump it in here. This is actually not a one-man job, but let's see. Okay, mic cable not in the way, strainer is ready. Let's give this a try. Trip over the camera. Okay, stove off, stove off. Okay, I gotta leave that for 2 or 3 minutes to let the temperature stabilize. It should be about 50 degrees centigrade, but I don't know quite what temperature this is, nor what temperature my bucket was. So let's just give it a few minutes here to stabilize. In the meantime, I've got my brush. And let me give you an overview of actually what's going to happen. We've got 2 brushes here. This is the brush. This is about the largest one we could buy a couple of years ago when we were starting to do this. And our paper is wider, so we need wider brushes. We tried ordering one from the guy who was supposedly the last sizing brush maker, and we got back a crap piece of plywood with hair that was way too short. This is maybe okay for putting wallpaper up or something, I have no idea, but it's no good for sizing. The hairs are too short, and it doesn't hold enough. So rather than ask him again to do another, we just give up. If he doesn't understand that much, then there's no point. So what we've done is, on our staff member Aoyama-san, the guy who used to know as Lee-san, we bought 1 brush, 2 brushes, cut him up of course, fixed a new handle, and he's made a larger one, which I'll be using tonight for some of the larger pieces of paper here to do. It's not perfect because we've tried to get it so that there's not so much of a space in the middle section, but it's better than nothing. So that's going to be in reserve. I've got 3 different sizes of paper I'll be sizing tonight. It's paper that we've chopped up. This was all one large sheet originally, but we don't have brushes that large. So we chop it up, and what I'll be doing is laying the sheets on here one at a time, sizing the front surface of them, then flipping them over and doing the back surface. I'll move the camera, I guess, a bit closer when I get to that stage. I've got too many things in my way here. Let's just clean this up a bit and get one thing at a time. And again, it's going to be a very scrappy presentation. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do the camera, trying to do this, and I've really got to focus on this job, but let's just try and catch a view of this. Tripping a cable. Yeah, I'm trying to. There's cables and plugs all over the place here. For sure, I'll pull this thing over at some point. Now, where should I put the camera? Because what I'll be doing once I get started, I'm lefty. I'll be dipping it in here, moving here, and moving across like this. So, excuse me, let's try. Will that give a good angle? I'm going to be taking sheets of paper off here one at a time, putting them on here. Then I'll probably block the camera. I've got to stand here, dip this thing in, stand here, do my rubbing. I think that's not a bad camera angle. We'll see. Not sure if that's quite ready yet. There's another slight, I don't know, thing that's going to confuse things a bit. I've got the paper here tonight in 3 different sizes. I know we really want to minimize waste. So there's a couple of different jobs. Ayumi-san, she's going to do one final job for us this week. Shimoi-san, the new printer who we're trying to talk about coming in to join us, we're giving him a test job. And then Kubota-san, the guy who's doing our ukiyo-e heroes for us. So we're trying to cut the paper to exactly fit each particular size of print. And it's a problem now because I've got 3 sizes here. So I can't stack them up. Once I'm doing sizing, if I stack these up together, it's going to leave creases on it. So I'm going to have to do this in 3 batches. I'll do the smallest group first, 1 face, flip it over, do the back side, set them aside. Then I'll do the 2nd dimension, and then the 3rd dimension. From the front, flipping it over to do the back, we can do that straight away. But when I set it aside, it's got to wait about an hour or so before I can hang it up. So what's going to happen here tonight is I'm going to start doing the sizing. I'm not quite sure how long it's going to take. Maybe 20 minutes for this group, 20 minutes for this group, 20 minutes for this group. And once they're set aside, I'll shut this down, go get a quick bite, then come back about a half an hour later. I'll try and give better times when we're closer to this. And then I'll restart the camera and we'll see the part where it hangs up. But the paper has to settle and sit for a while between the brushing phase and the hanging phase. So this is going to be a 2-part thing here tonight. Also, am I getting any feedback? Is this what's happening? Are we hearing and seeing? Okay. Yeah, size. Okay, let's explain that. There's 2 words. Size as in dimension. This is nothing to do with that. This is size as in size. It's another meaning of the word. The paper as we have it here right now is as it came from the maker. It's completely useless for woodblock printmaking. People could do calligraphy on it or something, but if we touch this with a calligraphy brush, the color would go whop. It's like a blotting paper. It's also extremely weak. The fibers are held together just by the I don't know, what's not lotus root, it's the hibiscus root juice that they put in with it. So this is extremely weak. If we tried to print with this on our block, it would tear from the back and it would stick to the block on the front. So what we do is we put the glue mixture called size, and the verb is called sizing. And the paper, once it's finished, is going to be sized paper. And I'm sorry about the confusion with dimensions. It's just, that's what the word is. I've got the bucket. Can I try moving the camera? I don't know. Let's see if it's asking for more trouble. No, it's tied in. I'm sorry. I don't know if you can see. Glue in there. It's a golden colored glue mixture. Liquid. Right now, very hot, about 50 degrees centigrade. 50 to 60. And I think I'm pretty much ready to go. What I'm working on is just a board with a plastic sheet on it, just to act as a base plate. And if you're curious, the ratio here, I've got 2 liters of the stuff in here. No, I've got 4 liters of it in here. And the ratio is 60 grams of the animal glue per liter. And it's 15% of that by weight in alum. And this is the summer recipe. It's still quite hot here today. I'm at 28 degrees up here today. If this were winter, that glue would have to be about half that amount. I don't want to start and find out I have to do something else. I'm all set, right? The heat is off. The mix is ready. The temperature, yeah, it's turned on and stable. The brush is ready. The paper's ready. I've got my board that I'm going to need for flipping it over. I've got a plastic sheet for covering it up. Yeah, I think I have everything ready to go. Let's do this thing. I might have to block just a minute because I got to be able to see this here. rub off, huck it. Okay, let's go. ちょっと久しぶり. I haven't done this for a couple of months actually. The motion there, it looks kind of simple, and I don't want to pretend to be a real super expert on this, but I'm getting pretty good at it now. And there's a lot of things involved. I'm trying to start fast and then slow down, because lots of size comes out at first when you hit it, when you hit the brush onto the paper. Is it blocking? It's blocking, isn't it? I'm just knocking off here. The other thing is the angle. It's flat now, and as I hit the paper, it comes up to an angle. If I bring it up too much, it'll dump out too much. So I start here, then as I'm going across, I slow down and I stand it up bit by bit by bit. Standing up, standing up, standing up, and slowing down. And if I get it all right, it's a smooth amount across the whole surface. If. Am I blocking? Can I? I'm also on my right foot here, standing literally on my right foot, not my left foot. And once I start moving, I'm transferring, and now I'm on my left foot. So it's body weight that pushes this across. I'm not just pushing with my hand. Excuse me, I gotta get this proper here. Are we dropping frames? I'm really afraid of this. We're upstairs. Yeah, I'm dropping frames. 8%. Ouch. Any chance you can lower the camera where the laptop is to see the paper? Ah, okay, I get you. Lower the laptop, yes. Someone like that? Now I can't read the screen, but whatever. Is that the dry one or the wet one? It's a dry one. That might look cool running towards the camera, does it? No idea. I'll have to have a look at it later. Dumping a bit too much in the corner here. I always do that. Bottom right corner is always too much. I don't know why. I need a coach to watch me here. I heard a question, but I don't really know how much I can fool around here. Let's see. Internally sized sheets, I have no idea. I have no experience with sheets that are sized by the paper maker. And I don't think in the Japanese tradition that was a thing. I don't know, I guess I asked before we started to do this by myself, there were sizing craftsmen in Japan. There's still one guy left. We gave up on him because he basically gave up on trying to do good work, and he was frustrated by the materials and all that stuff. He just couldn't give a rat's ass anymore. So we gave up on him. And in the first few months of trying to do it by ourselves, this is 6 or 7 years ago. In the first few months of trying to do it by ourselves, we got better than he did, so it's okay. And we have two systems here of doing this now. And the first 5, 6, 7 years that I worked on this myself, this was what I did. I tried to learn the traditional system with the brush. And it's working okay. All the prints we've said, all the Kickstarter Heroes prints for all those years, they're all done like this. But we've started to think, a couple of years back, me and Aoyama-san, Lee-san, we started to think about the problem of how we're going to pass this on. Because I've become trained at it, but it was years of training for me to get good at this, and nobody else in the company knows how to do it, and we're still in that same problem of having not enough skilled people. So he and I have been working on semi-automating the process, as some of you may know. And we've built ourselves a sizing machine. I'm not using it tonight because there's no way I can run that and run a webcast like this at the same time. So I'm doing this batch by hand. But on a future stream here, we're going to, one night when he's here to help me, and basically he can do it and I can just run the camera. I'll show you how our sizing machine works. We've got a system. We use the same base here. We put some jigs inside and some rollers. And we dip the paper in and pull it through the rollers, and it gets sized on both sides. Very neatly, very easily, and very smoothly. I'm doing it this way tonight, really pretty much just so I can keep my hand in. Frame dropping, I'm sorry. Whatever, get what we can. This is all just sort of a bonus. Okay, now I'd like to continue, but I can't because this paper is bigger and it'll flop over the edge. So at this point, I've got to flip these over. I've done the front surface of the paper. I've got just a plastic covered piece of wood. It's going to go on. Flip them over. Turn it round. Take off the base plate. So what we've got now, the sheet on top is the one I did first, and we turned it around. So that's the side I hit and came down the other side. So what we're going to do is put my base plate back in place. Do the back side in the same order. Number 1 is still going to be number 1. And we're now doing the back side, and I'm doing it from the tail to the head. Excuse me, I'm going to cut in way here. And the brush is a little drier now. I haven't loaded it with quite so much because the paper is already quite wet. That liquid is already coming through to the back. So more lightly on the back side. getting smoother. First sheet was pretty rough. These are smoother now. It's three or four things, the sizing. You know, as I said, without it, we couldn't physically rub the back of the paper because it would abrade under the rubbing tool. Second is the front of the paper, because we use like a paste and stuff with our pigments, the front of the paper would stick to the wood block, wouldn't come off. The alum that I put in there, that's the agent that stops the pigments from bleeding out into the paper while we are printing. So it's those three things basically. And if you get too much glue in here, the pigment doesn't go into the paper well, too hard, we call it. If it's not enough, you get tearing on the back or fiber pulling on the front. If the alum is too strong, I hit too hard there. A bit too much there, not so much here. Luckily, it's not all that critical. There's a window of, not a window, a range that's acceptable. But yeah, every single sheet of paper has to get this done to it. You know? Nice one. The sizing machine I was talking about, I can't stop now, but there was a visitor here, one of my collectors from Holland, a man called Jacques Commandeur, Commandeur. He took a bunch of pictures while we were doing the sizing with our machine, and he put them up on his website. So if somebody does a quick Google for Jacques Commandeur woodblock prints, looks good, go to his website, and there's some section on tools and materials and stuff, and it's probably in the section on paper. He put a web page up just a few weeks ago with a series of pictures he took standing right here where I am, showing our sizing machine in action, so you can see that. I should have thought in advance and put a link ready for myself, but I didn't. Commandeur, that's the spelling correct. I've never heard him Commandeur, yep. There's a bunch of Commandeurs on the net, but Jacques Commandeur woodblock prints should get you to the site. Look under the materials section, whatever he calls it. He's a good friend. He's been collecting my work for many, many, many years. Really nice guy. He's nuts about these prints. He's a scientist, a statistician, I think. Oh, too much on the hit down there. Ow. Gotta wait for it to soak in. 3, 2. You probably can't see it. There's a bit of a pool there. Once it's soaked in, I can go to the next sheet. Is that the page? Somebody's found it? Good. Thank you very much. You can see it's the same base that I'm using here, the same hot thing, but instead of the canister going into it. So Dave taped down the paper for the first sizing, yes, to keep it in place. When I flipped them, I didn't. Yeah, it's because it's wet, it doesn't slide. On the very first one I put down, and you'll see me again when I do the second batch. The first sheet's dry. When you hit it with a brush, I've learned that it slides on the table. So I just taped it in place. But once I was flipped over, it's wet and stuck. Are you watching such details, you guys? Ruined and saved. No, I didn't know much about that. I'm sorry. I've seen a couple of Bob Ross programs, but I don't know the lingo. So what to do? He makes a mistake and then paints something on top of it. Is that the idea? In our world, actually, when we're printing, we can't fix mistakes because we use transparent pigments, unlike sort of those oil paints maybe that he was using. I don't know. So we can never put a color on top of another color in the sense of blotting it out, So all the stuff that we've done shows through in the finished version, so we can't hide anything. There's one small exception to that. Yoshida Hiroshi talks about it in his book. And we're not sure, even at this stage, he's been dead for 50 years, but we're not sure if he's joking or not. He says, that thing I said, that you can't adjust things once you're done. Once there's a yellow or a brown on the paper, it's on the paper, and you can put darker colors on top. So his point was, if you've got something you've been working on and it just doesn't work, then what you do is you turn it into a night scene. You get a heavy black block, put some dark gray over the top of it, and it turns it into a night scene and nobody can see all the little problems that were wrong with it. And he did publish a lot of night scenes, and I wonder. Okay, here's the last sheet in this batch. Good, nice and smooth. Okay, this has to wait now for at least a half an hour and maybe an hour before hanging it up. That's no problem because I have more work to do. But if I just left it like this, it'll dry. So what I'm going to do is, it'll go over on the shelf behind me and I'm going to cover it with a piece of plastic. Excuse me a minute here. Tripping all over my microphone cable. Hang on a sec here. Okay, step one. Step two, a bit wider. I don't have the exact right sheet of board. It doesn't matter. We can do it like this. There's now 20 sheets. This is going to go to Kubota-san. These are going to be cut 1, 2, 3, 4. And funny, we're just talking about Hiroshi Yoshida. The print that will go on these is the Hiroshi Yoshida night scene of the sailing boat, the one that's on our website. We're down to the last half a dozen copies, and he's got some time to do some more for us. Look at that, Hiroshi Yoshida night scene. Tape. Now also this brush, what to do here, what to do. I don't know if you can see. Here's the dimensions here. That's cutting it kind of fine. I've got another one that we've made wider, but I don't like it anywhere near as much. If Lee San was here, he'd say, it's okay, just do it, just do it. But I really like this brush. I know how to control it. I think I'm going to go for this. I think I can do it. Okay, should we move the camera somewhere, or should I just keep doing what I'm doing here? Is it okay? I don't know. I think if I move to the other side and shoot from the left, we won't see anything. Or, should we try that? What have I got to lose? Excuse for the jerkiness here. I'm going to move the camera. Let's try that. I'm going to stand here. I'm going to dip, wipe it off. I'm going to come here, wipe. I don't think I'm going to bang the camera. Maybe better. Totally sorry for this, people. It's not, it really isn't a very professional production here, but whatever. This work's got to get done, and people want streams. So if I stand here, it comes across. Let's do this. Mic is okay. I'm clear of the camera. Paper's ready. Here we go. Looking okay. I'm still a bit heavy at the front, a bit light at the back. There's so many ways to screw this up, I was doing it a while ago. And I took a break for a minute to have dinner here with some like 7-Eleven food. And because of the electricity, there's not enough electricity to run this heater and the microwave at the same time. So I turned this off for just like 2 minutes, zapped my dinner. And then of course, you know what the story is, I forgot to turn this thing back on. So I gobbled my dinner, came back to work. Bit by bit, what's going on? What's wrong? Why is this sticky? What's happening? Idiot finally realized, of course, it's getting cold. I forgot to put the heater back on. So this is not so bad tonight. Too bad Lee San's not here to watch it. He was not thinking I could do this. He's saying, no, wait till I get there on Sunday. But I'm like, no, I want to do it by myself. And he's like, just wait till I get there, will you? There's an interesting transformation happening here at this business. It's a transformation. It's going to happen over a long number of years. All these people come, Aoyama-san or Ami-san, whatever, they've come here as beginners, not knowing anything. And I'm the guy who knows, quote, everything, unquote. I don't know everything, but you mean compared to them, I know what we're doing here. So I've been the knowledge showing them what's going on. And it's a long, many years transition to the point where it's going to be the other way around. These guys, these kids are going to be the ones who have the knowledge and know the knowledge and are doing it. Eventually, Dave will be, not quite so capable of doing things anymore. And as far as Ayama-san thinks, he thinks we're well on the way to that. He wants me to sort of step back a bit more and... So it's sort of a, what is it, the young Turk or the young lion, whatever, and the old guy who's sort of a jockeying for position and all that kind of stuff, All in fun. There's really no hostility or anything like that going on, but absolutely there's little miniature sort of power struggles that happen, and there's going to get lots more, I'm sure. I can't lose anyway. The better those people get at this, the more of a win it is for me. So it doesn't matter. I'm still settling down a bit too hard. Creating multi... Okay, what we're doing, this is all stacking up. Wet, wet, wet. It's so good. When I first started doing this too, I was a bit surprised. Like, can we get away with this? I'm rubbing glue, wiping hot glue onto each sheet of paper, front, and then flip it over and do the back. Hot glue to show. Then I let it sit there for an hour. And when I first, I'm like, is that possible? Are these things going to all be... And no, they come apart. And, obviously, there's a little limit to how sticky the glue could be or whatever, and we do adjust it. It's summer now, as I mentioned. The summer balance here, I've used about 60 grams per liter in summer. In winter, I can't get away with that. We're down to about half that, 30 or 35 grams per liter in winter. Remember, we're talking about unheated workshops here. I have no idea if people were doing it in a building that's going to be the same temperature all year long. But for us, in unheated, uninsulated buildings here, the winter and summer are totally different environments. So in winter, the glue mixture is half the strength. And that's part of it, I guess, because I imagine I'd have trouble getting this stack apart if the glue was too thick. But yeah, as you'll see in an hour from now or so when I do the next stage, it comes apart, no problem at all. But every print that leaves our workshop, every tiny chibi print, every big ukiyo-e print, every ukiyo-e heroes print, every single print has been through this stage first. Yeah, nice one. Almost. New people joining the thread. What's Dave doing? Whatever. You guys can help him out, I think. The paper is never as beautiful after it's sized as it is before. It's beautifully soft white, fluffy. has a nice, just soft, beautiful feeling to it. But after the glue goes on, the color darkens, it becomes harder. There's no way around it. It's got to be done. It's the normal part of the process. But, you know. Recent sheets are not so bad. There's too much. I don't know if you can see. I don't know. I'm up too high. I'm just not going to show the transparency. I know there's. Does it show? There's different, I don't know, bark scraps and stuff inside each sheet. I know. They're doing what they can. They're not evil people. They're working out a very difficult situation. Not enough labor. The stuff that comes to them is in bad condition. Nobody wants to do that job. It's an unbearable job, picking out bark scraps in cold water. It's on our list for the future for trying to semi-mechanize that process, and we think we have an idea about how to do it, but it's not possible for us to even think about taking that job on right now. So there's an endless list. I'll never have nothing to do, you know. Nice. What does it say there? David Sensei, have you done any wild experimental work? I'm not sure if that's sort of a semi-serious question or a semi-jocular question, meaning I'm such a control freak, stable kind of guy. Do I jump off the deep end? I don't know, a couple of ways to look at that. No, I don't. I don't dance, I don't freak out, I've never done drugs, I don't do crazy stuff. But having said that, there's the thing about, you know, quitting your job and moving to a different country where you don't speak the language with your 2 little kids and not having enough money to handle it. So I don't know, does that count? I don't know. Okay, we've come to the end of this batch number 2 here, and the same thing. This is the top surface I've done. I'm going to have to do the bottom, so we'll do the same thing. Where's that plank? Here. So, plastic covered sheet of paper going on the top surface now, and it's exactly the same thing. Flip them over, rotate it, so the brush hitting end is at the left, the head of the sheet is at the left. Now I'm running out of places to do stuff here. Hang on a sec, let me get these brushes out of the way. So these now have been flipped over. It's the back side facing us, and they're ready for me to go right to left. But we have to get them out of the way. Base plate back in. Needs a bit of a wipe. Okay, here we go. Sheet number 1. You can see it got some blobs. Look at that. Tuk, 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 tuk. Very bad. Bad technique. And it should stick without needing to be taped down. Let's go. That's the back side, so I need less size. So I'm going to wipe off a tad more here. It's hard to measure how much. And away we go. covered up the laptop keyboard. Sorry, I gotta. Skydiving, that's finished now, long ago. Bit too much. There's a bit of a pond here we call Ike, a bit of a lake because it hasn't sunk in. I've got to wait till it's disappearing. It's sinking in, gone. If you put the new sheet on before that sinks in, it really gets trouble. It spoils it. It's okay, it's coming well tonight. So far. Talk about skydiving. Any idea where he used to skydive? It was in Canada. The town, it was on Ontario, the town called Arthur, Ontario. I think the drop zone was called the Arthur Skydiving Club? That's a good question. It was in Arthur, Ontario. This is 1978, 1979. The drop zone owner was a guy called Lloyd Kallio. Kallio. Really, really nice guy. Short, way shorter than me. Big, powerful man. Really nice guy. Ran a fair shop. Safe. Really knew his stuff. We had an old Beechcraft and then a little battered up Cessna 180. I don't remember the name. The Arthur Skydiving Club, Ontario Club or something. I don't know. But it was in Arthur, Ontario, late 1970s. Made most of their living by people coming out from Toronto on the weekends to do a first jump course. That was the main income for the place. And then various skydiving teams trained there. That beach carried about 12 people up, so it was one of the few drop zones around that would carry that many people up at the same time. Guys doing relative work, Like I'm talking like I'm an expert about that. I wasn't very good at it at all. Just dabbling. And if you met Lloyd Kellyer now and asked him about me, he's going to say, who? I think we're okay. I'm a bit heavy at that end and a bit light in the middle. One day, one day. We're talking about crops. I'm not sure. I didn't catch part of these threads. Is it mulberry fiber you're talking about? You're talking about mulberry. If you want a few pictures of the mulberry that we're using and the process, there's I think we may have linked to this a few weeks ago on this. I don't have a quick link for it, but if you Google Souma-san, S-O-U-M-A is the guy's name, Souma, put a san, Souma-san, with the word mulberry, you'll probably pop up a web page from my website from like 25 years ago. It's got a small little set of photos that show what happens at the mulberry farm, if that's the right word for it. It won't show woodblock.com, it shows my ancient old website, AsahiNet. Oh, questions, look at this, I'm sorry. Yeah, interesting. Does it change the color? Absolutely. You know, the paper is, I don't know if you can see it. I don't want to mess around. It's wet right now, so you can't see. The glue is a golden yellow color, and the paper is pretty much clean white. Now, wait a minute. Have I done this one? Yeah. Yes, it does. It tones it. It tints it. And I'm not so, it's not so bad, because if the paper's too bright white, it has a sort of a bleached feel to it. So having this delicate tone in there is, it's not a problem. Whatever, those of you who've got prints from us, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. You'd think the paper's white. But it's not quite as brilliant white as it was before this stage happened. So yeah, it changes the color. No, it's not a problem, by my standards anyway. I don't think that's it. No, I'm not sure. Can I click up to that? Open link, a new window, and it didn't give it to me. I have no idea. Yeah. Teruo Soma, that's it. So there's shots there. You can see this is what happens. Tiny, tiny photographs. I'm sorry, this is a long, long time ago. And the semi-frustrating part for me is taking care of this mulberry. The farming end of it is dead simple. Dead simple. You can see they harvest it there by just chopping it, cutting it off. They leave it in the ground, it just grows back up a couple of months later. Cut it off in January, harvest it. Then come the spring, it starts sprouting back up again. And all you got to do is it starts sprouting like 10 different places. You got to cut them all off and just leave the one central one. And just let it go away. Come back a couple of months later in the middle of the summer, it's got too many little sub branches and leaves. Strip those off. You want nothing but that single little post with a couple of leaves at the top just so it can get food. And you leave it alone all year long. Come January, the leaves have already fallen off, just chop it off. Chop, take it away from processing. There is nothing simpler. And it keeps coming back year after year after year after year. The labor problem comes in the next part. If you follow that web page, the last couple of photographs where those ladies are there. They've steamed it, they've pulled the wood out of the middle. You've now got a piece of bark that is white inside and black outside, and that's the part that has resisted automation. Separating those two, getting rid of the black outer bark and leaving just the white inner bark, which becomes this paper, all the tiny, 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 tiny fibers. And that's the labor problem right there. You see that picture of those 3 or 4 little old ladies doing that. When the villages were full of little old ladies, there was no problem. And there's no bleaching. I see the word bleach there coming up. There's no bleach, no bleach, no bleach. The fiber, the mulberry fiber by itself, is a beautiful soft white, and there's nothing else going into it. When it's rocked, it has hibiscus root in there to give it, to float it into those matte shapes that end up becoming paper. There's nothing else in there. No bleaching, no nothing. And this is why it just survives 200 years. There's no lignin left from the wood. There's no acidic stuff of any kind whatsoever. It's just these pure little tiny white fibers. And they just last forever and ever and ever. Okay, second dimension is done. Same thing. I need this board, so I'm going to have to transfer this to something else for storage here. Just a sec. Oh no, maybe what I can do, let's do that. Let's just take that. Just take this, just put this aside. I'm going to put a piece of plastic on top so it doesn't dry out in the intervening couple of hours. This just sits now and waits for an hour or so. Okay, group number 3. We can do that one, I think, right on here. How am I going to flip it? I'm going to use that board to flip it. Okay, no problem. Let's do this again. There's only 14 sheets in this third batch. This is for Shimoi-kun. Shimoi-san, I should start to say. I should try and... We haven't talked about him yet because it's too soon. I know the news I got last week about the pregnancy and stuff caused a lot of different things to happen around here. A lot of phone calls, a lot of meetings, a lot of chasing around town. And we found a young guy I think I can talk about this. Okay, how much? No, he would be... We'll see. I think I can talk a little bit. We found a young guy who... Number one, no, wait a minute, this brush, this is really pushing it. This is another 2 centimeters wider. But just a minute, what's the print we're going to be making from this? How wide are the margins? I think we're okay. There's a big white margin on the end of this. If it's not quite enough size at the edge, we're okay. I'm going to go for this. Where am I? The young man. I know he trained at different workshops. It's a similar story. Those of you who have heard me talk about Kawai-san. He trained at some other workshop and just was browbeaten and just said, I'm out of here. A similar thing happened to this young man. I got to really be careful. Just let me shut up for a minute here. Oh, look at that. I missed the edge. Anyway, long story short, he's out, didn't want to be a printer. But he had a dream of his own, and funnily enough, look at that, same place, okay? Fool me once, fool me twice. I think there's a limit here with what I can talk and do at the same time here, so I think just let me shut up for a minute. This is not easy. Better. $9,000. I paid that bill this morning, you know. I paid it. There's no sense in letting it hang around and get heavier and heavier and heavier. It's okay. It's worth it. $9,000. It sounds like a whole big chunk of money for one little bag of paper. But my God, it's worth it. They work so hard. It's all the stages, It's the mulberry growing. It's the mulberry cleaning. It's all the stages built in together. Have to be paid for by the guy who is buying the paper, And at the next stage, when people buy the prints, the money is, of course, built in. So the end of the line, people who are buying the prints are the ones who are paying for it. Same as anything. You buy a car, whatever, you're paying the miner for digging the steel, digging the iron ore out of the ground. Yes, yes. The one thing we've never done with our paper supplier, ever, is bug him about the price, is ask him to, can you put it down a bit? Or when he puts it up, we say, can you not do that? We've never, ever once complained about the price. Actually, we sort of expect the same thing from the people who are getting our prints. We've tried as much as we can to price everything completely fairly. We count the hours and count this and count that and all the rent, And very rarely, it almost never happens, somebody asks us, can you do something? Some tourists here sometimes from a certain country, and they're sort of used to that in their own country. And we just have to say, I'm sorry, no. But we rarely get it. People that know about our work know what's going on. So. It's a tiny bit light at those edges, so I think I can brush that out. It's all right. Oops, 2 sheets. Bit too slow, maybe. You know, I know already the different prints these are going to become a couple of months down the road. The paper I prepared for Kubota-san, that's second of the 3 batches. Those will be the Yoshida Hiroshi night scene, the boat, the sailing boat on the inland sea. The one I'm doing now, this extra wide one, is going to be, it's the first test run of prints from that young printer who we're testing out this week. I'll talk about him, I'll talk about him more later. And these will be the print in our catalog called Peony and Sparrow. We're getting low on that, we're going to give it to him as a test. So assuming, I'm being pretty optimistic, aren't I? Assuming that it's going to be okay, if they're good enough to go through, that's the print that they will be. And then that first batch, the ones that were quite narrow, those are Ayumi-san's fooling around job next week. She's off doing real work now, steady, steady, bang, bang, bang. But she's going to do some test printing of a postcard-sized print that we've never had in production before. It's one of the old Doi Hankaten block sets that we've had sitting here, but I've never had time to work with. But now she's off normal job, she's got time to fool around with that. So these 3 batches of paper are for those 3 designs. Okay, look at that, I finally got good at that by the time I finished it. Okay, what do I need to do here? I go to the back side. So bring in, again, same thing, plastic board, just to temporarily hold it. Flip it over, don't forget to rotate it. There. And these are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, leaving me less space here for the laptop. And I better push this back. No, a couple months down the road. I didn't mean a couple months printing. I know this paper, the Kubota-san one, he'll be printing on it Tuesday, which I have to do it this weekend. Ayumi-san's going to start hers Tuesday, Wednesday, and Shimoi-kun, the young guy, he'll be starting this next week. So when I said a couple months down the road, what I meant was if the prints are okay, they've got to be gone to the Ome workshop for trimming, packaging, all that sort of stuff. They go into the front end of our process. So it actually wouldn't be a couple of months. It would be all going well. The Hiroshi Yoshida prints will be up in a couple of weeks, earliest, 3 weeks maybe, 4 weeks max. So I'm sorry, I spoke loosely, I just meant later. Okay, again, keep quiet, Dave. What are you doing? This is correct, right? It's the back side. There's the tape. So I'm going to start here, go here. 14 sheets. Temperature 45. Keep it a bit lighter than the front side. I'm getting a pond at this corner again. My weak point is that right-hand corner. Dogs, dogs. Is there a dog out there? I don't hear anything. Still too much in that corner. Are we still up? Is there anything wrong with the stream? Is it okay? Dropping frames? Drop frames 2.1%. Seems we're still okay. What do we got? 3 sheets left here. 3 or 4? 3 or 4. So this is the back side of the third group. So as I said when I started, I guess some of you haven't heard what's going to happen here. There's 3 different dimensions of paper here, so I've done them separately because they have to stack neatly on top of each other. This is the back side of the third group. The first and second group are waiting patiently for the water to smooth out and smooth out. And you can't hang them up too soon. You really should let the water, settle through the sheet. It's been, about an hour or so now since I finished that first one. So I'd like to wait a bit longer. So what I'm going to do is this. As soon as I finish this third batch now in a couple more minutes, I'll cover this one up. I'm going to then shut the stream down, go and get myself a quick bite from a nearby food place. Fish and chips tonight. There's a new English fish and chip place out there. Got to give them a try. No high hopes, but whatever. We'll see. And then I'll come back, say, in a half an hour. So let's figure out the time. What is it now? It's 7 o'clock now. It won't take me long to hang that. So the first one will hang, but if I do it quickly, bang, bang, this one won't be ready. So let's do this. I'll come back at 8 o'clock Japan time. For the hanging part. It's not all that interesting. You're going to see me peel sheets off 2 together, clip them up and hang them up on the rack. I'll be doing that in the next room over there. Not very exciting, but if you want to see what the next stage is, so be it. So it's 7 o'clock now. Right? This is that's the last brush. So this is now going in hot water. I've been keeping hot water next to the hot glue. So the brush will get washed in a minute. This can just sit here now. It gets covered. Gets covered so it doesn't dry out. Okay, I'm going to go offline. Going to get a bite to eat. I'll move the camera and stuff into the next room before I start, and I'll be back here at, I should speak normally now. Where are we here? Can't see the camera. I'll be back here at 8 o'clock Japanese time to do the final hanging up job. It'll take about 10 or 15 minutes. Thank you very much. If you're here, I'll see you. If you're not, the regular schedule will be back on tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, 8 o'clock time. There will be a carving session downstairs. Thank you very much. See you later.